The Honda Ridgeline has always been the best proposition for those of us who want pickup truck utility without sacrificing the comfort and drivability of a regular car. However, as interesting and as good as the Ridgeline is, it isn't without its faults, which limited its success in the US market. However, with the refreshed version of the car being released, we have to ask ourselves, does the 2024 Honda Ridgeline fix the 5 worst flaws of its previous model? Problem number 5. No off-road friendly options. It goes without saying that Honda went a little overboard with the whole rides like a regular car theme. They went so far as to completely exclude any form of off-road ready variation of their pickup truck. And while yes, we know a unibody pickup truck was never going to be a record breaker, it would have still been nice if Honda offered a proper workhorse instead of just a pickup truck looking mile muncher. Thankfully, the 2024 version of the Ridgeline does fix this issue. Honda has finally started listening to their fans and buyers, and they decided to introduce the all-new Honda Ridgeline Trail Sport. The Trail Sport offers an all-new dimension of utility and usability to the Ridgeline, while also offering quite a lot of cool design details. First in the line of changes are the off-road-oriented General Grabber AT Sport tires. This will allow an additional amount of grip and girth to the vehicle, making considerably more competent vehicles off the tarmac. Furthermore, we'll also be getting a fair bit of underbody protection, which will come in handy since the Ridgeline will retain its ride height. And while that might sound counterintuitive, we're frankly glad that Honda didn't decide to throw the Ridgeline's basis out of the window. Instead, it has been designed to offer an additional bit of off-roadability without ruining the on-road experience, which is why we won't be getting any kind of jacked-up suspension with 50 inches of ground clearance. Honestly, if mountain climbing and mud running are something that you're looking for, why would you even consider a unibody pickup truck? Still, we're very glad that the Trail Sport is here, and we're even more glad that Honda understood the assignment perfectly. Problem number 4. A dated powertrain. The Honda Ridgeline, like many other Hondas, uses the now widely known 3.5-liter V6 engine. And don't get us wrong, this is a phenomenal powertrain. It's reliable, decently powerful, and has acceptable amounts of torque. However, with the release of the all-new Honda Pilot, the Ridgeline's closest sibling, Honda introduced the all-new variation of the previously mentioned engine. It has a very healthy 280 horsepower and around 262 pound-feet of torque, which is good enough. However, this all-new version of the already well-proven engine offers a bunch of new goodies that very noticeably improve its performance. First of all, the new 3.5 now has a double overhead cam, which allows the car to retain its torque figures even at high RPM. Not to mention that it also comes with variable timing control, which allows the car to be quite rev-happy. Granted, on paper, the performance differences isn't that big, as you'll be getting only 5 horsepower more and retains similar levels of torque. That said, the engine itself is a bit more elastic and would also improve the Ridgeline's already impressive gas mileage. It would be only logical for Honda to introduce this all-new engine to the Ridgeline, seeing how it would only increase its already well-loved car-like character. But did they? No, they did not. And honestly, we don't understand why. There was no reason for them to keep the old engine, yet they did. We don't even know what to say, except hope that the 2025 model does bring it to the table. This, however, brings us to the next problem of the outgoing model, and that is problem number 3. No hybrid drivetrain. The lack of a hybrid option was, honestly, baffling to many. An option of a mild hybrid, and even a plug-in hybrid would be beneficial to the car, which has been proven with the Ford Maverick. Honestly, who wouldn't want a good MPG with such a large car? Well, it seems that Toyota is one of those manufacturers, as the Ridgeline still doesn't come with a hybrid drivetrain. This was, in our opinion, an extremely stupid decision by Honda, as they would have easily boosted their sales figures, seeing as there wouldn't have been a pickup truck that could compete against the Ridgeline in terms of MPG. Furthermore, the fuel economy in the city would have also been leagues above what it currently is, which is around 18 miles per gallon. And since the Ridgeline is mostly driven around town, the decision not to electrify it leaves us even more baffled. And don't tell us that the batteries would have taken up too much space, as there already are loads of mild hybrids that utilize smaller batteries, so that they don't lose on practicality. Sure, the range wouldn't be fantastic, However, if you're the type of person who cares about range, a mild hybrid simply isn't for you. Problem number 2. Dated exterior and interior design. The Honda Ridgeline has started to show its age. While we still think that the minimalist approach to the design, without any unnecessary bulging or creasing, we must admit that the car looks a little bit out of place when compared to Honda's current lineup. The biggest affront was by far the front fascia, which just looks, well, a bit too bland for its good. Also, the rear of the car could have been done with a bit of character too. Honestly, the rear tailgate looked like something that was taken straight from a pickup from the mid-90s. However, by far the biggest issue we had with the 2023 model was its interior, which was just completely outdated by Honda's modern standards. It had quite a complicated layout. The design was nothing like the new Hondas, and the equipment levels, while sufficient, have started showing their age. So did Honda fix these issues? Well, mostly yes, but there have also been some issues that remain unattained. The exterior has been updated, and in all the right areas too. The front fascia has been made a tad more imposing and serious by changing out the grille into a meatier one, but it also retains its no-nonsense minimalist design. The rear has also been massively tweaked. The rear tailgate, which was completely smooth, has been replaced with a tailgate that now bears a stamped ridgeline across it. This makes the car much more pleasing to look at from the back, and makes it a much more interesting design without ruining the harmony of the design itself. You could say that the interior received a mild facelift, and we're pretty content with that, as there wasn't a whole lot that needed to be changed anyway. The interior, however, isn't quite up to par, which is rather unfortunate. There have been changes, don't get us wrong, and it's now a much more ergonomic place to be in. First, the center console has now been enlarged, with an added armrest at the back of it, which is a welcome addition. The steering wheel has also been swapped for a more modern design, as were the analog gauges in favor of digital ones. The infotainment screen has also been updated. However, the interior layout, which was, in our opinion, the biggest issue with the truck's cabin, has remained largely the same. That said, we couldn't call this a deal breaker, as despite not being quite modern enough, the interior is most certainly well built, with soft touch plastics all over the place, except for lower parts of the interior, which is standard for trucks in this segment. Problem number 1. Pricing. There's no avoiding it. The Honda Ridgeline was simply way too expensive for a mid-sized pickup truck, and that unfortunately remains true even for the 2024 model. Seriously, $39,750 for a base model Ridgeline? You can get virtually any other truck in this segment for the money, with a decent amount of kit too. Now sure, you'd get a 280 horsepower engine as standard, as well as all-wheel drive and a bunch of standard features that are optional extras on the vast majority of the Ridgeline's competition. However, that still hardly justifies the price. And don't even get it started with their higher trim levels. The Black Edition starts from a little over $46,000, which is well into the F-150's territory. And that's something you don't want to hear if you're a mid-sized truck. That said, all is not lost, as there is a trim level that we'd straight up recommend to most buyers. That is the second most affordable one, the Ridgeline RTL. We'd like to argue that it represents quite a bit of value for money. Compared to the entry-level Sport, the RTL gets heated seats, blind spot monitoring, better wheels, expanded color choice, as well as real leather trim, which makes it quite the sweet spot in the world of mid-size pickup trucks, especially since it costs around $42,500, which isn't half bad.